This is the first of 3 analysis follow-up videos to the Marowak vs Sandslash vs Dugtrio video. In this one, I'm going to be going through my second last Marowak playthrough, which is the one that I got the best time with. I did an asymmetrical number of attempts and finishes with all 3 of these Pokemon, and that's just largely because these Pokemon play very differently. Sandslash, for instance, really struggles in the early game, whereas both Dugtrio and Marowak have no problems against Brock. Beyond that, Marowak, alongside Dugtrio, struggle late into the game against Lorelei and Lance, whereas Sandslash doesn't really because it has Swords Dance. I never really talk about on my channel my filming schedule because I think sometimes it might just feel like I can do unlimited playthroughs, but that is not in fact the case. If I want to make one of these versus videos every month or 2, I am going to have to limit myself to the number of playthroughs I can complete. As I said, I did 15 playthroughs with Marowak and finished 6 runs. So that's roughly 6 hours of time just from the finished runs, and then there'll be a little bit more. So my allocation of that time, I did all 3 of the first runs on day 1. I did Sandslash first, then Dugtrio second, and Marowak third. This is because I thought that Sandslash was going to do the best and Marowak was going to do the worst. I ended up being correct in that because Sandslash having Swords Dance is just fantastic. One quick aside, I bought 3 Pokeballs here, and that's because Marowak can't damage Flying-type Pokemon in the early game, so if I want to catch a Pidgey, it's going to be a little bit inconsistent, and I didn't want to constantly restart the run after just throwing 1 Pokeball and failing, so I buy 3 just so I have 3 chances. If I fail, I would just restart the run and try another attempt. In the forest, I'm also going to fight this lass. That's to get enough experience to make the mandatory bug catcher a little bit easier, and it is also going to help against Brock. Okay, so getting back to my filming schedule, I then did second runs on their own day, so each Pokemon had their own day for a second run, and I kind of went through, wrote notes, and tried to optimize the runs as much as possible. And then I came back for a third day of filming with each Pokemon. On those third days, I exclusively played that one Pokemon, and I did runs over and over and over again until I had one that I was satisfied with. In this case with Marowak, I completed 4 more runs on that day. And of them, the 5th run in total was the best. This is just a mistake running into this Rattata. I should not have gone into that grass. There will be little mistakes throughout this run. There always are in my playthroughs. Again, I'm not doing a tool-assisted speed run, so because of that, there's always going to be small errors just because of human input. I think that it's more fun this way for me, and as long as it's fun, I'll continue making these videos, so yeah. Okay, Brock, I'm going to 3-hit the Geodude. It's a 66.8% chance to 3-hit, so it'd be weird if I did anything else. Notice here that it is a little bit sketchy against the Onix. I'm using Tail Whip specifically because I don't want to use Bone Club. It go for Bide, accumulate damage, and then attack in, not knocking it out, because the Onix is going to be a 3-hit, 43.3% chance to 3-hit with Bone Club. If I attack in enough times, it accumulates damage and then pays it back to me if I, say, miss a Bone Club or something like that, or I just don't have enough damage to KO and it gets a 2-turn. Then I'll get knocked out and lose to Brock, but I found the more consistent strategy is just spamming Leer. 5 of them gives me a chance to knock the Onix out, and 6 of them gives me the guaranteed knockout. I think that that's the best way to approach him, just so that you don't have more restarts there and waste time. As we're heading out onto Route 3, I'm gonna switch over to the regular stats, because right now we're looking at the base stats for Marowak, and that's not super interesting at this point in the game. Just in case you missed the other video, my base stats, or Marowak's base stats, are 60 HP, 80 attack, 110 defense, 45 speed, 50 special, and it has an 8.59% chance to crit in Generation 1. Okay, the next section of the game, Marowak's goal here is to get to a level where it can manage Misty. For it, because of its low base speed, I am going to need to outspeed the Staryu, but I cannot outspeed the Starmie. It would take far too much training to make that possible, and remember, the Cascade badge enables you to use Cut outside of battle. Also, we have a new foster cat right now, and she is really loud and likes to run around a lot, so if you hear stuff going on in the background, it's her being very playful. Also, I think she wants to sit in my lap now, so I'm just gonna pick her up. Come here. Okay, so I can continue the voiceover while she hangs out. Maybe you'll hear some purrs if you're really lucky. Okay, so the goal here, to get to a level that I can beat Misty, I can't outspeed the Starmie, and remember the Starmie will knock me out with 2 uses of Bubble Beam. So I have to either get 2 water guns in a row, a Bubble Beam and a water gun. Misty can't get a critical hit. There has to be a good amount of luck against her. And I'm going to go to the SS Anne first, just so I can have access to Body Slam, giving me the additional chance to paralyze, which would give Marowak the second turn to attack against the Starmie in a row. In Mount Moon, pick up Water Gun, then fight this super nerd. His experience yields are very good, so I fight him in almost every playthrough where I need early game experience. I also go down here, because I'm going to need to pick up the TM for Mega Punch. This is a good normal type move. It's going to give me access to physical damage against flying type Pokemon, specifically the Rivals Spearow on Nugget Bridge. And I am going to battle the Rocket down here. This gives you access to I almost used an item there. I was like, is this run actually invalid because I used an item? No, I didn't. I just almost did. That always gives me like heart palpitations when I accidentally do it in playthroughs. Okay, Bone Club is an awful move. We don't want to use Bone Club. It misses so much. It's so frustrating. I think that's got to be the biggest frustration playing Marowak in the early game, is just missing tons of moves. The most consistent move I have is Water Gun, but it doesn't do very much damage because my special is very low. Plus Brock's Badge gives me an attack boost, so my attack stat is even better, even though it's already Marowak's better offensive stat. You can see here, I'm just doing a lot of training. I'm going to fight this Rocket as well. I'm trying to get as much experience as possible accumulated so that I can make it to Misty at the proper level. Unlike a Pokemon like Sandslash, I use rare candies before Misty, 2 rare candies. It's a strategy that I got from Austin. I think it is the best strategy for Sandslash. With Marowak, I don't want to use early game rare candies because then my late game is going to be severely impacted. For example, Lorelei, I'm going to need level 65. That is the first level where you get a guaranteed 2-hit on the Cloyster. And if I don't have a guaranteed 2-hit on the Cloyster, then sometimes I'll lose to the Cloyster, meaning I don't even get to the Slowbro and have a chance to roll for a turn 1 withdraw. If it uses turn 1 Surf, you're basically going to lose. So whenever we're trying to like stack up, like whenever I'm trying to go into a battle and get like a certain amount of luck, I want the luck to be centralized to one Pokemon. So I need to get lucky on the Slowbro, but everything else is going to be fine. Or if I need to get lucky on the Slowbro, but I could get really unlucky on the Cloyster, like a freeze or a critical hit. That's acceptable to me, but like I need to get the favorable damage range on the Cloyster, then I need to get the turn 1 withdraw on the Slowbro, for example, and then I could say something else like I need to win the speed tie against the Jinx and crit the Lapras. Like that's too much luck. I am not going to be able to do things consistently. So I went into Misty's gym to fight trainers so that I could be level 18 over a damage rounding threshold to fight the rival on Nugget Bridge. I'm just going to pull up these damage ranges so that I can give you a sense for what the junior trainer, the mandatory junior trainer in Misty's gym did. So I have a 2-hit here with Headbutt because I just learned Headbutt, and that's more consistent than using Mega Punch. Of course, Mega Punch can knock out the Spearow, but in this case it only has a 74.4% chance to knock it out. Water Gun has a 2-hit, and then I have a 1-hit with Bone Club on the Rattata, but I didn't take it. I think I went for Headbutt on both the Rattata and the Eevee, just for consistency. I don't want to miss when I don't have to. Okay, Nugget Bridge. This is usually a section in the game where I like check in with how the Pokemon's doing. I get a sense for like, okay, the early portion of the game has gone well. Like, are we on track? Are my splits like am I negative when compared to my personal best? If at this point in the run I am negative, then usually I will just like, if anything else goes wrong in the run, I instantly reset, or I'll stop saving. So Misty, for example, is going to be quite sketchy and there's a lot of possibilities for resets, but if I'm behind my personal best, I need to find a way to gain back time, so I would say not save in front of Misty and just hope that I get a first attempt at victory. If I don't get the first attempt victory, then I'll just restart the playthrough and hope for a better time and getting something under my personal best here before Nugget Bridge. But Marowak, we haven't really got to the most annoying part of the early game. Up until now, it's kind of just cruising through everything, with the only variability being the fact that I can miss moves early on. So when Mega Punch misses, when Bone Club misses, all of those little extra turns in battle, they really do stack up and they can make a big difference by like 20 seconds, 30 seconds, something like that. Also, you can have moments where like you miss a critical attack against a Pokemon and then like if you go into the rival at level 17, let's say, you use Mega Punch on the Spearow, you miss turn 1, it growls, then you miss turn 2, it growls again. It's like this whole fight is going to be awful now because you could get hit by Sand Attack from the Sandshrew and then not like fail to knock out the fail to hit the Rattata, get hit by Hyper Fang, fail to knock out the Eevee, get hit by another Sand Attack or another Growl. So much can go wrong. So that's why I thought just fighting the mandatory lass, doing the little bit of extra overworld walking would be the better choice there. And here I'm fighting this hiker. He's great experience. 4 Pokemon and I have Water Gun that one hits all the Geodudes. Like might as well. I'm gonna fight this guy as well. He's experienced. I'm not moving him out of the way for Seismic Toss. Marowak can learn Seismic Toss, but it's not really that useful. Dig and Body Slam will just do more than enough damage in the early game. Although I do want to talk about my choice to use Body Slam in the early game because I think there's a compromise to be made on Misty, and I'm not sure what is the best strategy overall. I think what I did in this run is risky, very risky on Lance later into the playthrough, but I could have done something that was more risky on Misty and then less risky on Lance. Basically, if I teach Body Slam now, I'm going to use it for Misty, but then delete it at Lorelei because I need Rest and Mimic to get through that fight consistently. Unless I just level up more, and I don't want to level up more because that'll waste more time in every playthrough. If you're taking a slight risk at Lorelei, like I am in this playthrough, there's the potential for the overall time in the playthrough to be lower. It ends up being the case, if you want to go for consistency, you will always sacrifice more time than just lucking through 1 or 2 really tricky fights. So my approach now is solve most of the fights in a very consistent way, and then find strategies that are the perfect balance of risk and reward at those key fights. And I don't know if I balance things well against Lance, because he's so far into the playthrough and I'm relying on freezes against him, which is like probably one of my least favorite things to do. But you need to level up a ridiculous amount to fight Lance. It's like 7 more levels or something before you get 2 hits with Body Slam on the Gyarados. It's very frustrating. Okay, so we have Dig now. Moving into Vermilion City, level 24. I have not fought Misty. Of the 3 Pokemon, Marowak is the only one that goes to the SS Anne first before fighting Misty, which does cost it time because it has to backtrack to Vermilion City to face Surge. I'm going to go over to this wing of the SS Anne, pick up the Ether and the Max Potion, and then fight this Sailor to get access to the Rest TM. Rest is critical for Marowak to face Lorelei. Pairing Mimic, stealing Amnesia, and then setting up my special allows me to survive hits from the Lapras. Its Blizzards and Hydro Pumps hit extremely hard, and if I don't have Rest, then I'm not going to be able to heal on the Slowbro, and it can luck out just using Surf a few times in a row and win. Or you'll have too little health after setting up and taking your time that you won't be able to survive the Lapras's hit anyway. So I think that fight is really like either just try and luck through with like critical hits or the Lapras missing, or use this strategy in combination with Rest. I don't think you have a lot of other options against her. By the way, this Ponyta can sometimes burn you, and it did in attempts, which is always very frustrating. Oh, yeah, she's saying hi. Hi. Yeah, you want to hang out here while we face the rival on the SS Anne? This one's not hard. I have Body Slam, so that gives me the 1 hit on the Spearow, and from there it's just really not that bad, because Growl, oh my gosh, you have so much energy. Tiny cat. Okay, I'm 3 minutes and 18 seconds ahead after that split. That's like ahead of my first playthrough. I think when I'm comparing this to my most recent splits, I was like maybe like 20 seconds ahead at this point. Also, I'm going in here because I went into the wrong room, but I want to fight 1 extra trainer here because you can see I'm almost level 26. I want to go up to level 26. This is a mistake that I called out in the video. I had enough speed to move first against the Staryu at level 25, so I should have fought Misty at level 25 instead of doing that extra battle and going to level 26, because what happened is in my previous routing for this playthrough, I I had different trainers that I was fighting, and so I had different levels of stat experience. And then when I got a little bit more speed stat experience, before I was speed tied with the Staryu at level 25, and then outsped at 26. In this case, I was outspeeding at 25, and then even more outspeeding at 26. Okay, so body slam the Starmie. I get a critical hit here, which is great, and I two-shot it. You can just two-shot with Dig, but I think two-shotting with Dig is riskier, because the Starmie always moves first. Because the Starmie is moving first, it's going to attack with something like Bubble Beam, deal damage to you. If it crits, obviously you're going to lose, but if it doesn't crit, and then you go underground, and then she uses an X-Defend, things are bad. So I like to go for Body Slam turn 1, because then you have the chance to paralyze. If you paralyze, you get a second attack, and you're more likely to just knock the Starmie out. Alright, backtracking to Surge. I can't believe I lost to Surge once while filming this video. I'm not going to talk about it in this one, but so ridiculous. I did not lose with Marowak though, and I don't think I need to save here. I also taught Bubble Beam before this fight. You don't need to. You can just rely on Water Gun. I think Bubble Beam is a little bit better against the Cubone at the beginning of Rock Tunnel. But overall, it's not a huge thing because Bubble Beam doesn't solve very many Pokemon. Someone's going to tell me, use it for Giovanni's Rhydon, but like the Rhydon's a 2-hit with a ground type move anyway. While Bubble Beam, I think, can 1-hit, it doesn't save so much time to save it that late. Like you have to, it's an inventory slot. Sometimes you waste a lot of time just managing your inventory because you've ran out of space with items. It's a lot easier if you just have less items in your bag. I'm going to reorder everything here. Repel is always my 3rd slot, Bike is 1st spot, and usually Healing Item is 2nd spot, but I don't know why actually. I could probably put Repels in the 2nd spot just to save a little bit of time. I have never really thought through that. It just, at some point I decided, or really early on into this channel, I just was like, yep, Repels, they're the 3rd slot. That's it. I try and examine every aspect of my play and really optimize the small details, but there are some things that are just, they're just there because they are. No one has ever asked me about that. So, apparently, it's not a huge deal that they're in the 3rd slot. Okay, so Repel, then we go here, we fight Slowbone. He's got his Cubone. Bubble Beam does not 1-hit, so maybe it's just better to go Water Gun here and just sell Bubble Beam once you get to Celadon City. That's probably the better choice. The Slowpoke can be kind of annoying, but they don't know water moves, so there's no super effective damage. The only way you can lose here is if they hit with Confusion, then they confuse you. Maybe they disable a good move like Body Slam, something like that. By the way, if they disable, they can't because they're so slow, but if you disable a move before the Pokemon uses it, the Pokemon just doesn't do anything that turn. Sometimes happens against the rival's Kadabra in Silph, because it has 84 speed, and there are a lot of slow Pokemon that will not be faster than it. One of them is Marowak, and that is a problem that I have to deal with later in this run. Okay, she's having some really big purrs. I'm getting her close to the microphone now. Hopefully you can hear. She really likes to be held, but not like lap cat, like sit on your lap while you do something. She likes like active, like being held. Like if I take my arms away to do anything else, she starts to fuss and then make noise. I completely skipped the self-destructing hiker talking about him because he's irrelevant. I have both Bubble Beam and Dig. Bubble Beam is better because it one-shots. And then I beat the finishing junior trainer, and that's that for this section of the game. Marowak cannot learn Swift, so we're not going to go and get that. It also, like, the coverage, we'll talk more about Fire Blast probably later on, but you think that this would be like a decent move for it to use, it's really not. It gives you a higher probability of getting 1 hits, but a lower probability of getting 2 hits because of its accuracy. That's one thing that I think doesn't always get talked about in these runs. When accuracy is less than 100%, if the 100% move is going to 2-hit, even if the other move has like a small chance to 1-hit, it's usually better to just go for the 2-hit, because you could miss and then fail and get a 3-hit. And like now you're into like a really bad spot where Cloyster clamps like 3 times in a row, and it's Marowak's not even going to live through 2 clamps. Let's be real. Hi, you're so cute. Okay, we're going to continue. By the way, if you support me through YouTube memberships or Patreon, thank you so much. Also, if you don't, there are a whole bunch of other analysis videos like this available on my channel for previous Versus videos. So there's one for Magneton, and then for Electabuzz, Magmar, and Jinx. I think for them, maybe not actually. Pinsir, definitely Pinsir and Scyther, and definitely Tentacruel and Starmie. Okay, Rocket Hideout. I do this area whenever the Pokemon needs an extra rare candy. You get a total of 11 if you do Rocket, the Hideout like this. If you do the Hideout, and then if you do Power Plant, you get 12. If you skip Hideout and you skip Power Plant, you get 10. And then there's a couple other ones you can skip, but they don't make that much sense to skip. Like, you save very little time from skipping them. But if you skip this one, you save like 30 seconds. But with Marowak, when I need another level, like it just makes sense to spend 30 seconds to get a level. And I get a few more items, which means I can buy more vitamins in the department store, which is where I'm headed next. Gotta sell stuff. 4 nuggets. I got an extra nugget from the department store, or from the Rocket Hideout. Also got the HP up and stuff like that. Sell a bunch. That gives me like 56,000. Get some repels. 11 repels. The 11th repel, I get 10 if I'm not going to Power Plant, and 11 if I go to Power Plant. I'm gonna get the... Okay, Marowak, one quirk about Marowak's moveset is that it does not learn Rock Slide like the other two. The other two learn Rock Slide. Marowak instead gets the water moves, the ice moves, the fighting moves, and the fire move. So cool coverage, but like not exactly what we need. I buy 4 Carbos here and 1 protein. With Marowak, these vitamins are more like, I want to be faster, I want to be... I think the speed ones do let me outspeed a couple things in the mid-game, but it's not super important. I think I could probably just go more protein, or I could go calcium or something like that. Calcium might be better for Lance. Sandslash specifically, I believe, needs calcium, otherwise it does not survive Hydro Pump. And that's very bad for it, because it needs to set up 1 Swords Dance to knock the Gyarados out with Rock Slide. Okay, Rival 4. We have to use Ice Beam on the Fearow, which is terrifying, because it can use Mirror Move and reflect it back at you, and then freeze you. That never happened to me once when filming this run, so it's a low probability of happening. Also, that's just a misclick, obviously. The Ice Beam on the Shelter. Don't do that. Sometimes people like to comment about those mistakes that I make in my runs. It's just like, I don't know what to tell you. I'm playing the game really quickly. Sometimes you click on the wrong things. Like, when you have to play the game for 45 minutes, there are mistakes that are bound to happen occasionally. You just hope that you don't, like, Earthquake a Dragonite or something. That happened yesterday when I was doing my Stantler stream. And it did cause a reset. It's very frustrating. All of the ghosts are not an issue in this. With the ground types, because you have enough, even like Marowak has enough speed to move first against them. This is one instance, if I hadn't used those Carbos, I would probably be slower than these Ghastly. They have 47 speed, and I have 51 right now, so I used 4 Carbos. This is probably what gives me the guaranteed outspeed. Maybe I would have a speed tie here if I didn't use the vitamins. Alright, level 32. Some of you have commented recently, just a few of you, that some of my videos feel breathless because we are like trying to make the audio as tightly edited as possible. So hopefully this piece of content is a little bit more. It has more breath. It's more natural because I'm just recording it in one take. Jesse and James, never an issue with any ground types. Get the Poke Flute. And now we are going to start the major section of the mid-game, which is training. With Marowak, my goal level is to... the level I'm targeting is in Silph, and I want to get to the rival at 43. This gives me a 96.2% chance to 2-hit the Cloister. So I could go up to like 44 or 45, but it's probably not going to be worth it, especially if I get to the level that I need to get to by the end of the game. So on Cycling Road, I'm going to fight this guy. I'm actually going to do Cycling Road, fighting 4 trainers in total here. This guy with Grimer, then the guy directly south of him, which he has 2 wheezing and 1 coughing. After that, I will fight a cue ball. This is the guy who has Primeape and Machoke just after the PP up. He's quite good for experience. And after that, I'll fight the guy that pretty much everyone fights, the person who has 5 Pokemon on his team. That's going to give me... This I ended up adding into the route later on in the development of my Marowak play, because I realized that to get to the rival, if you get to the rival at level 40 with Marowak, it just feels a little bit too sketchy and you have too many resets in Silph, or you have to dig out of Silph and do something else first and then go back, and I really don't like doing that. It bloats both real time and game time. If I can go to a location just once and never have to go back there again, that is the ideal scenario. In this case, to make that happen, I do these battles here on Cycling Road. After that, I'm going to dig out of the Safari Zone, which will take me back to Celadon City, and then I'm going to fight Erica. But in order to fight Erica, I need some very precise damage ranges. So I level up after defeating, with this experience, I level up after defeating her Weepinbell to level 38 over a damage rounding threshold for the Gloom, which gives Dig a 78.9% chance to one-hit it. If you fail the one-hit, you will lose to Erica most likely, because Petal Dance does massive damage. But this gives me the best chance of beating Erica on the first attempt without the need to backtrack after leveling to like 40 or something in Silph. We can't bump the microphone. That's not nice for all the people listening. Okay, so Safari Zone, there's no trainers in here, there's nothing to do. Sometimes if you're going through here at a low level, which I am, like 35, the wild Pokemon can catch you through repels. The way the game works is it generates the encounter, then it decides if it puts you in battle or not. So that's the ordering, because the RAM actually gets populated with the Pokemon you would have seen, which is very painful. Don't watch a game hook in those cases if you're playing a game where you can get shinies, because you could see a shiny show up, but not encounter it because you have a repel. That's probably the most painful thing ever. Okay, heading south, gonna go to Erica's gym. In Erica's gym, I'm gonna fight 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 trainers. This person, Bellsprout and Weepinbell, she's like the drowsy killer, I guess. We should get art for her, honestly, just after the drowsy stream. That is my most watched live stream. I think it has like 250,000 views or something. It's ridiculous. What happened is I Gen 1 missed on the Bellsprout, I think, and then it stun spored me, and then I couldn't move first, and the Weepinbell knocked me out with Wrap, and I didn't save before her, so I had to restart the playthrough. On stream. It was very painful, but apparently the YouTube algorithm just loves my pain, so it was like, hey, everyone needs to see this. Thanks, YouTube. I feel naked. All my mistakes laid bare for you. The only trainer I think I skip in this gym is the one on the left-hand side of the cut tree after the Execute trainer. She's terrible experience, don't fight her. Under any circumstance, I think it's just a waste of time to fight her. You want to fight middle stages and fully evolved Pokemon if possible, and trainers with more than 2 Pokemon. But I also need enough experience to get to 38 for the Gloom, and that's what I'm targeting here. I do have to fight the Execute. It's annoying. Luckily I have Ice Beam for it with Marowak. It's really annoying if you only have ground moves, like with Sandslash or something like that. It makes less sense to fight monograss types or grass types with a secondary type that isn't poison. Okay, we're going to 2-hit the Tangela. Then we're going to 1-hit the Weepinbell. It's guaranteed on the Weepinbell, barring a Gen 1 miss. After that, we level up to 38, as I said before, and then we 1-hit the Gloom. Or we should, but we don't. It thrashes around crits with Petal Dance, and I get my first reset. Honestly, like, what are you going to do? I knew that was a possibility, that's why I saved before Erica. So, you don't waste that much time by losing a fight like this, and I gain back a little bit there, getting a crit on the Tangela, so I knock it out in 1 turn. That's nice. Again, like, if you roll the dice twice, you're going to defeat the Gloom, so even if there's 1 reset here, it's not the biggest loss. That said, if you do want, like, the perfect playthrough that gets the best possible time with each one of these Pokemon, you do need to do reset-free playthroughs, so I would have to try that again until I get one that has no resets. But again, I'm working within a filming schedule where I have I was trying to get this video out by Mother's Day, so at some point it's like, this run is good enough. We had a reset there, that's frustrating, but let's keep going. And that gives me, you know, I remember when I was a kid, I used to watch, my mom was a dancer, and I used to watch the show So You Think You Can Dance with Her, which was a fun way for us to bond. I was into music, she was into dance, we could talk about art and stuff together and watch this show and hear the judges critique people's dance. Anyways, there was one performance that two of the performers did. I think the female performer's name was Katie. And one of the judges said, like, there was one moment there where there was a tiny bit of awkwardness. Like, they kind of, one of the maneuvers they did was, like, not quite perfect. And the judge said, like, everything else was perfect. And I'm glad that you had that one tiny mistake, because then you won't, like, you don't have to, like, you'll know that there's always, like, your next performance, you'll be able to do better. There's always one thing that you can still fix. So this reminds me of something that one of my friends said to me in university. I was asking her about how she practices, because she was an exceptional instrumentalist. And I said, like, how do you practice? Like, what do you do? And she said, one of the things I do is I make sure that I never finish anything when I'm practicing. I always get it like 90% of the way there. Like, I work on it until I'm like, yeah, I'm like 90% of the way towards the tempo I need to be at tomorrow. And then I stop. Because it gives me this sense of, like, when I come back, I wake up the next day, I want to practice again, because I'm like, I know I can get there. Like, there's 10% more to go, I can push for that. So having a mistake like that or a reset here is like, it makes it more exciting for me to in the future think back and go, you know, I want to sit down and do Marowak again. I think I can get rid of that reset, and I think I can, like, maybe fix the Lance strategy, which we'll talk about more in depth later. And I've already talked about it a little bit. So you can see here I'm fighting trainers in Silph. Let's talk about how many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 trainers in total in Silph. The goal again is level 43. I'm going to level up to 43 right before I fight the final trainer, but that's just because I need more experience so that I level up after a certain trainer in Koga's gym, so that then I can use rare candies. That is also a development that I added late on into the process with Marowak. I had done like maybe 10 attempts by the time I was like, yeah, I think I should move the rare candies back further, because originally I was using them later, I think before Blaine, and I was cutting training in his gym. But the ground types train really quickly in his gym. All the fire types get knocked out quite quickly, and there are a decent number of Pokemon that are fully evolved there for good experience yields. Okay, this guy, the Hypno Rocket, that's what I call him. He's terrifying. Golbat can confuse you. Both the Drowsy and the Hypno can use Hypnosis on you, and then they can do shenanigans like Headbutt, flinch you if you're really slow, Confusion, confuse you, disable, take away your best moves. Small little thing here. Fight this guy. After defeating him, go back and heal. That way, you have more power points to fight the rival and to get through the rest of Silph. Although I think I skipped the heal entirely in this playthrough. No, I do go back and get it. Sometimes I skip the heal entirely because I picked up the Max Elixir on Cycling Road. So you can just like skip the heal entirely, go over there, fight all the trainers, go to the rival, Max Elixir, then fight him. But the heal takes like, what, 3 seconds maybe? It's not as long as a Pokemon Center heal because there's no animation of the Pokeballs going down. That's the thing that really costs a lot of time. You also have door animation. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on with Pokemon Centers. Plus the walk time to get to the nurse and to get out. The text that comes up after you get healed. Like, there's so much stuff. They take a long time. Okay, that's the raw Hypno Sandwich. One of the best pieces of art on the channel. Probably the best piece of art. I think it is aesthetic perfection as far as my channel goes. Okay, so level 43. Healing up. Gonna save the game, then gonna fight the rival. This is by far, I think this is the most brutal trainer outside of Lance and Lorelei in the entire run for these 3 Pokemon. Now, my damage range there is 77% to 92% against the Sandslash. As you saw, sometimes this rival will use a potion. Now, hilariously, I'm gonna lose this first fight, and that's because I missed the 2-shot on the Cloyster. I have a 96.2% chance to knock it out in 2 turns. So that was like a sub 4% chance. Ridiculous that it got me. very annoying as well. Like there, oh, I think it survived because it used withdraw. Anyways, it can also just spam withdraw the entire time. If that happens, you'll just eventually knock it out because it can just waste all of its time. That's why I felt doing this fight without getting like a one hit on the cloister, like it doesn't make any sense either. I can add rare candies to this route and see when I would get a one hit. We're gonna test that now for anyone who's extremely curious. Okay, I get the guaranteed one hit at level 63 on cloister. 63 I have to go to get guaranteed one hit against the cloister, and I'll try another one where I have like a okay shot of getting a one hit, like maybe a 40% chance. Okay, I have a 48% chance at level 60 and a 60% chance at level 61. You have to hit the cloister, so getting to the minimum level where it is required to get a good chance to two hit, which is 96.2% chance at 43, I felt that was the wisest thing to do in this scenario. Then this fight, even if there are resets, it's more of like an unlucky reset, like the Erica reset, rather than a reset that just happens because you didn't plan well enough and you're like, well, I'll just get through, like I'll crit, like I'll just bank on a crit, like I don't think that's the best of choices. Okay, so Koga's gym. I'm gonna fight this gambler. Oh, it's not gambler, juggler. I'm gonna fight this juggler, then the tamer that has exceptional experience yields. Ice Beam is really nice here because the Sand Slash is not a two hit. Whereas with the other Pokemon like Dugtrio, I believe the Sand Slash is a two hit. But it can sand attack you. That's why it's annoying. So you just like, sometimes when doing this fight, I have to consider, do I really want to fight the Sand Slash? If I don't want to risk getting sand attacked, you can either save or you can just skip the trainer and try and get the experience somewhere else. After doing that, I level up after this guy's final Pokemon to 47. That's going to allow me to use 7 rare candies to go up to level 54 to fight Koga. These rare candies, so without the rare candies, I do not have guaranteed one hits on the second or third Venonat. 65% chance on the first one, the second one, sorry, and 25% chance on the third one. But with the rare candies, guaranteed one hits on all the Venonats. So that's why the rare candies here really changes the math in this fight. Specifically the third Venonat. The first one can lower your special with Psychic, and the second one can sleep powder you. I just didn't want to deal with that at all. So using the rare candies here, it still allows me to get to my goal level at Lorelei, but it also makes this fight more consistent. That puts me 4 minutes and 47 seconds ahead of my first run, which is pretty good. That's a decent improvement, and you'll notice that like some of the times are kind of out of order. They look all over the place. That's because I did those trainers in a different order. It always lists these splits based on the run that I'm comparing to, not based on the run that I'm playing. Another thing, doing Erica before Silph allows me to do Koga after Silph, and then I can pick up that rare candy right away without having to backtrack there after I get Erica's badge, because it allows me to use Strength. On the way south, fight this guy. I'm calling him Psyche, S-I-K-E, because Seeking Ike. He's amazing. We're getting channel art for him. Some of the best experience yields in the game. I believe the experience yields that he gives are better than Koga's. Let's confirm that. Koga gives 238 experience per second, and Psyche gives 240 a second. Yeah, so like, basically fighting him is like fighting Koga again for experience. It's amazing. And like I one-hit all of his Pokemon where I two-hit Koga's Venomoth. So it's actually, the experience yields there are actually better than that. The experience per second on the Fisher is better. Even better than what I listed out. Those experience, by the way, the experience per second metrics that I just listed to you assume that you one-hit every Pokemon. So the ones with Koga are slightly inflated in that case. Okay. Mansion. The most visually disorienting place because it has this awful blue color in contrast, or in combination with this red color, and then the tiles, when the tiles scroll on the screen, it like hurts the eyes. It's one disadvantage of doing this format with no cuts. You have to see these terrible tiles. I'm sorry I'm drawing attention to them. I'm like, hey, look at the awful art. Like, when these tiles move around, they're awful. I don't know if they're bad when you're on 1x speed. They probably aren't. It's probably 4x speed that makes them really disorienting. Okay, I'm gonna fight people here. Why not? I have both Dig and Earthquake. It might seem weird to keep them. Dig is very important for Lorelei. It allows me to dodge Dugong's first hit, and the Dugong has weird AI, which makes it prioritize Rest on the second turn, but has an 80% chance to use Rest turn 2. Because of that, I can use Dig, dodge the first attack, damage the Dugong, then it rests. So it heals, puts itself to sleep, giving me 2 earthquakes, which knock it out, and then I take no damage going into the cloister. If I get rid of dig, then I can't dig out of a location like this, Cinnabar Gym, which you can dig out of. You can also dig out of Sabrina's Gym, Silph, Mansion, all those places. So then either I need to walk out, which wastes time, or I need to buy escape ropes, which wastes time. So I want to keep dig for those reasons until I defeat the 6th and 7th gym leader. And then I also want to keep it for Lorelei, so I have to run both dig and earthquake on the same set. This causes moveset constraints, because if I want to run Ice Beam for the final rival, which is very important for his execute, then I only have 1 more slot, and in this case it's Body Slam. If I had chosen to not use Body Slam against Misty, I could have used Headbutt against her, which would not have had the benefit of paralysis, and it can't flinch because she's faster than me. But then I would be able to teach Body Slam later on in the run before Lance, solving him to some extent, because Body Slam does do more damage to Lance than Blizzard. The Rapidash can trap you with endless fire spins. There's no way to play around that, you just have to get lucky here. This fight got way closer than I was hoping it would get. It can be very sketchy. I didn't save going in, because I was just kind of... The mindset here was like, he's not going to be a problem. If it does cause a reset, I'll put it in the video, it'll be a funny moment, and I'll start the run again. Essentially, if you save in front of a trainer, you have to be willing to take a reset. If you don't save, you have to be willing to take either a blackout or restart the run. Those are the options, strategically. Because if you save and then you decide to restart, you just wasted time. So you have to be willing to reset. And I was not willing to reset on Blaine. I think I saved for Sabrina because speed. I don't outspeed either the Kadabra or the Alakazam, and there's no way to get Marowak to outspeed. But these Pokemon are pretty bad. Sometimes they just recover turn 1, miss Kinesis, or like Alakazam spams Reflect in a row like 3 times. There was no AI check telling them that they have a screen in place. So they can just use it over and over again. It's really silly. By the way, I fought 1 optional trainer in Sabrina's gym. This is specifically so that I level up after a trainer in Victory Road at the end of the Victory Road. It's the Bellsprout person, the Sandslash killer. We gotta start doing channel art with like the Pokemon that the trainer became notable for, like knocked out in front of their team. So they're standing behind and then like Sandslash is just knocked out laying down in front. It's like, yeah. You Gen 1 miss on a dig or an earthquake and then the Victory Bell sleep powders you and that's that. Then the trainer instantly becomes notable. The question really now is, will I play these games long enough for every trainer to become notable? The answer is no. Some trainers are trash. Like that guy, the bug catcher on After the Ravinglass. That guy is useless. In Yellow Legacy, they gave him Beedrill and Butterfree, though. I think that's nice. I missed the damage range on Giovanni's Persian. I think that I have the ability to one-hit. Yeah, it's slight, though. 18%. So it makes sense that I would miss it. Also, I'm going to go for Ice Beam on the Rhydon. Earthquake also is a 2-hit. They have very comparable damage ranges. Ice Beam's max is 91% and Earthquake is 87%. But Ice Beam has the upside of freezing, which is what I got there. So, might as well go for it. I don't repel for this grass. It's a choice. Like, it's so annoying that I got 2 encounters. Waste 6 seconds of time, but like, oh well, like, I made the choice to not do it in the hopes that I would just get through and save time opening the menu and using the repel, but then I lost time because I risked it. The only reason I turn off encounters in the early game is because you can't pick up repels. There's nowhere to buy repels, so it's not actually a choice for the player. So then the RNG is just not related to the Pokemon or the player, it's just annoying. It just offsets all the results and makes stuff harder to compare and harder for us to get accurate reads on how everything is working. Now this fight can go wrong. The execute is really annoying for other Pokemon, but luckily for Marowak it's not. The only way Marowak loses this one is if the Cloister does too much damage with something like Aurora Beam or Clamp. Aurora Beam I would have had to mess up and forget to heal, because even with a critical hit its max damage is 78%, but the Clamp does 19 to 22% damage with each hit. So if it crits, it can knock me out, or if it gets a 5-turn and favorable damage rolls, then it'll knock me out. Remember, in Generation 1, every subsequent hit from Clamp will do the same amount of damage as the first one. So if the first one rolls 21% damage, Marowak is going down if it gets a 5-hit. Whereas in later generation Pokemon games, each roll of clamp is different. So it could roll like 19, 19, 22, 22, 19. Or 19, 19, 19, 21, 19, something like that. And then you're just like, well, I'll survive just barely on a 5-hit. And each subsequent hit has a chance of critting in later generations. But in Generation 1, only the first hit can crit. And if it crits, all of them crit. Okay, rare candy here. I don't know if I actually go for the power plant candy in the end. Let me check. I don't think I do. I think I mentioned that earlier and I don't. Yeah, I skipped the power plant candy. I think at one point in the Marowak routing, I was going for the power plant candy, so I probably bought the 11 repels as like it's like an artifact of the fact that I used to be doing that. So it's sometimes hard to like sort all this stuff out in your mind because you're doing the playthroughs in such rapid succession. It's just like you're trying to go really fast, like 11 repels, go, 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 go. Oh yeah, I don't need the power one for the power plant. Well, I have an extra one, that's fine. In that case, if I had recognized that mistake, I should have used the repel right before the rival. I recognized it there actually. I'm like realizing it here at the same time. I used an extra repel so that it would go out of my bag. Because I'm going to need 2 more for the rest of the cave. So I used one, I think, when I didn't need it. Or maybe I did need it. I'm all over the place right now. Don't listen to me. Turn this video off. It's over. Use the max elixir here. Just to get enough PP to continue through to fight the last trainer. To fought the black belt and the juggler there. The black belt is not very good experience. Generally, I like to skip him, but sometimes if I'm trying to get a rare candy, like if you fight a trainer that has better experience yields and more Pokemon, you'll actually waste time because maybe you'll level up after the second Pokemon on the final trainer's team. And then you'll have to knock out 3 more Pokemon and all that experience will go to waste. So then I try and fight trainers that have less Pokemon on their team to save a little bit of time, even though it's less experience per second of it, like experience earned. Just because I'm going to save overall more time at the end. Because at the end of defeating this victory bell, I think I should level up. Did not level up. Oh, yeah, I did this in opposite order this time. So you can do this in two different orders. One way you can do it is you can do Black Belt first while you're coming through, and then Victory Bell after. I did Victory Bell first, then I was like, oh yeah, I should go ahead and do the Black Belt. I forgot the Black Belt here, likely, because I'm thinking he's bad experience, so skip him. So my automatic approach is just skip the Black Belt. But you can see there, I level up, then I can use 4 rare candies to go up to level 65 to face Lorelei. This is over a damage rounding threshold, and it is 2 levels higher than Dugtrio will need to face her. The reason is, I have a 0.2% chance to one-hit the Cloyster, and my damage range is exactly 50% to 59% chance, 50% to 59% damage with each use of Dig or Earthquake. So it's so close. 1 level lower, I'm not going to get that. It's going to start becoming inconsistent. And I have to teach Rest in the place of Ice Beam, and then in this case give up Body Slam because I want to keep Dig for Lorelei. Now, there is the potential of teaching Mimic over Earthquake and keeping Body Slam, and that actually might end up being the end solution for Marowak. And you can also then like potentially PP up Dig, because you're going to use Body Slam for Lance. You don't need Lance's Gyarados. You don't need PP ups for Blizzard. Yeah, it freezes me. Lovely, right? Like, I'm going to 2-hit. What are the ways I lose? It crits, it uses Clamp, gets a ridiculous number of turns because it does 19 to 23% damage, very similar to the previous rivals. Another way I can lose here is if the Dugong lowers my attack, Dugong lowers my speed with Bubble Beam, the Dugong crits, or the Dugong just chooses not to use Rest. There's a lot of ways that stuff can go wrong, but in the end, like, I was really searching for runs with all 3 of these Pokemon where it felt like the Dugong cooperated. If the Dugong isn't cooperating, things get really bad. Okay, so kind of bad Clamp, 3 turns. I'm on orange health for the Slowbro. We need it to use Withdraw. If it doesn't, if it uses Surf, it's going to be a reset. So that's why I take those like short resets earlier on, like Erica. What was the other one? It was like Erica and then something else. I take those, the Rival. I take those resets because it doesn't really matter. If this fight, if I win first attempt or even second or third attempt, I'm still going to be on pace for a PB. Even if this fight doesn't go perfectly, like, and the rest of the playthrough didn't go perfectly. If I just was always aiming for perfection against all the previous trainers, then what would end up happening is I would get to Lorelei so rarely, and in the cases that I do get to Lorelei, she would likely get lucky and then I would lose. So I need to be able to roll the dice a certain number of times against Lorelei to get a decent amount of luck here. I don't think this playthrough is by any means lucky. It's actually why I kept playing runs with Marowak. If I had defeated her on my first attempt, I probably would have been like, that's it. Like, we did it. This feels like a representative run of the strategy. We can just move on and like start playing a different Pokemon. But I was like, no, this Lorelei wasn't good enough, so I came back, tried again, and my next playthrough ended up being 10 seconds slower overall. Consistent, I guess. Consistently this speed. And the reason I did not do another playthrough, because I did consider doing like 7, 8, 9 Marowak playthroughs. The reason I didn't continue is because of what happens with Lance. It's just like, it didn't make sense to come back and do more runs, because I felt like there was the chance at that point to get an even worse time. It's like, okay, we're going to start regressing significantly if we continue playing. Maybe we get better Lorelei luck, but we're probably going to get worse Lance luck. Like, I rolled the 2 good Lances, it felt like. So I'm going to teach Blizzard now because I need something to hit flying types. Again, if I had taught over Earthquake with Mimic, which I think is probably the best strategy now that I reflect on everything and have had time away from these runs and a chance to make the video, that sort of thing, I think it probably makes more sense to be using Body Slam for the Gyarados to have a slightly better chance of knocking it out and the chance to paralyze, like against Misty. And then I can teach Mimic over Earthquake. I just take longer then. I have to use Dig on all these Pokemon, which is annoying. So each individual turn will take longer, but Lance will be more consistent. And as you're going to see, there is the possibility for me to reset to Lance multiple times every single run. The ridiculous thing, and the reason I took these results as Marowak's best playthrough, also this got so scary, it spamming Hypnosis against me, I'm really lucky that I defeated Agatha. The reason I ended up taking this run is because I beat Lance first attempt, I believe. Or second attempt. It was like really fast. And my only strategy here right now is just to get a freeze with Blizzard. I'm faster than the Gyarados, so I will get 2 in every fight. And because of Blizzard's accuracy, it ends up being about a 9.9% chance for me to hit 2 times and get the freeze. And I get it right away. So once you freeze, it can never de-thaw. Or, yeah, no, it can never thaw. De-thaw would be like the same as freeze, I guess, because it's a negative. Anyways. It can never thaw because it's Gen 1. There's no chance, and he doesn't have a healing item that will thaw it. Then I can knock out everything else. With Blizzard on my set, I don't have to use Mimic, so I can just keep attacking. I will survive the hit from Aerodactyl because I've been able to heal on the Gyarados. We miss back and forth the Dragonites. Very scary, but when I finally hit, I knock it out. So Lance is no more. There's only 1 trainer left. I was quite happy with this time. I was really hoping for something under 55 minutes. And yeah, I'm definitely on track for it right now. Okay, champion. Sandslash is first. This is a misclick. I should have used Blizzard. Blizzard has a 90% chance to one-hit this thing, so the only case it doesn't is if I miss. So just a miss. Oops. Luckily the Alakazam did not attack me. It just missed. That gives me the chance to knock the Executor out. 80% chance for the 2-hit there. And then here, gonna Mimic Thunderbolt from the Magneton. I found setting up here and trying to bait out Screeches was not the correct choice. Swift starts dealing so much damage and then the Flareon can hit you with Quick Attack and you lose after all that. It's so painful. I far prefer just chancing the Cloyster and I just barely get through. Quick Attack would have got me here once again because I survived with like 11 hit points, but in the end, Marowak does it. 53 minutes and 32 seconds with 6 resets at level 69. A really nice finish, 12 minutes and 47 seconds ahead of my first run. That time may have a small discrepancy when compared with the official video because I am re-recording this with an input replay file, so there's some variance in the millisecond level timing for the timer. It's the timer that's wrong, not the game. The game is recreating everything accurately. This is a game time of 3 hours and 23 minutes. So yeah, that's the full Marowak run. I hope this was interesting. I'm going to continue this series tomorrow with Dugtrio's run, so tune back in for that if you want more of me. Thanks so much for watching. If you made it this far, you're incredible. I'll see you in my next video.